Hi, we're solving quadratics by factoring, but now we're doing application problems. So let's say that you have a TV that has a surface area of 14 square feet. And I give you that my TV has a width of x, my shorter side is just some unknown number, and my length is going to be 2 times the width, or 2 times x, plus 3 more feet. So I'm trying to find out the dimensions of my TV, like the actual measurements of my TV. So I'm given the area. So how do you calculate area of a square or a rectangle? You multiply your length and your width. All right, so I know all that information based on the problem. My area was the 14 square feet. My width was my x, and my length was 2x plus 3. I'm trying to find out what x is equal to, what my width is equal to first. So the way that we can find that is by factoring. But the only way that I can factor is if I can turn this problem into my standard form. If I can get a number in front of x squared, a number in the middle with an x, a number by itself, and it equal to 0. It needs to be equal to 0. So let's figure that out. The first thing that we're going to do is distribute our x to everything inside the parentheses. So we're going to do x times 2x, which will give me 2x squared, x times 3, which will give me 3x, and this is all going to be equal to 14. I need one side to equal 0. Which one would be the easiest side to make equal to 0? Probably the one that has the 14, right? It's so close to being close to 0. So the way that we get this to go away is that I'm going to do the opposite of this positive 14, which is negative 14. I'm going to subtract 14 from both sides. 14 minus 14 gives me 0. So finally on this side, we have one side equal to 0, which is great, which is what we wanted to get done. And I am going to bring everything else down. So now I have it in this form. I have 2x squared plus 3x minus 14 is equal to 0. So great. So now we're trying to find out what x is equal to. So we're going to factor. We're going to try to get our x alone. So the way that we factor is that we are trying to find out what two parentheses this is equivalent to. So we're going to take this 2x and I'm going to put it at the beginning of each of my parentheses. It's 2x times 2x is going to give me 4x squared. It gives me the squared, but I'm going to have to eventually simplify one of my parentheses to make it just be 2, not 4. All right, next step is to multiply your first and your last numbers. 2 times negative 14. 2 times negative 14 is negative 28. So you're going to give me what factors 28 has. What multiplies to 28? Which is 1 times 28, 2 times 14, and 4 times 7. Out of those, only one is going to give me a positive 3 in the middle, whether I add or subtract the numbers, which would be 4 and 7. I need to find out what signs do I use to get a positive 3. So am I adding those two numbers or am I subtracting those two numbers to get positive 3? I would be subtracting them. So that means that one would have a positive sign, one would have a negative sign. If I were to add them together to get 3, you would have to have the same signs, like 2 positives or 2 negatives. That's not the case in this one. All right, because it's a positive 3, that means that your 7 needs to be positive as well. And because we're having opposite signs to subtract, that 4 would be a negative sign. All right, so let's put those two numbers at the end of my parentheses. -4, and a +7. And again, it doesn't matter whether you flip them back and forth, you will get the same answer. All right, my goal is to get the x alone, which is not right now. So I'm going to take both of those equations and I'm going to split them up and set them both equal to 0. So I'm going to have 2x minus 4 equal to 0 and 2x plus 7 equal to 0 so that I can find out what x is equal to. All right, my goal again is to get the x alone. So I'm going to do the opposite of everything so that I can get that x alone. So I would add 4 to both sides, and I would divide both sides by 2. So 4 divided by 2 gives me 2. So your x can be either equal to +2, or if I'm trying to get the x alone here, I would subtract 7 from both sides, and I would divide both sides by 2. So -7 divided by +2 gives me that x could be -3.5. So let's talk about it in the next page. Which is my true x? What would my width be? All right, so we said that my expression was my width is x and my length is 2 times my width plus 3 more feet. I said my width can either be a +2 or it could be a -3.5. But let me ask you this. Can my width be negative? Can your dimensions ever be negative? No. Your width can never be negative. Your length can never be negative, nor 0. Like you cannot end up with a width or a length that is 0. That means that it doesn't have a dimension at all. So that means that my width is 2 feet. So what would my length be? It would be 2 times my width. So 2 times 2 is 4, plus 3 more feet. 4 plus 3 is 7 feet. And 2 times 7, does it give me that 14 feet? Yes, it does. So that means that